Welcome to the Nutrition Collaborative podcast, where we cut through the noise, bust the myths, and bring you nothing but truth about health, fitness, and everything in between. I'm Alec Moore, dietitian, and each week we'll dive into what really works when it comes to achieving lasting health and fitness. No gimmicks, no BS, just real talk, real success stories, and a holistic approach to living your healthiest life. Whether you're here for practical tips, inspiration from real client journeys, or just to find out what's actually worth your time, this is the podcast for you. Let's break it down, get empowered, and focus on what truly matters for your health. Today, we're talking all about misconceptions that I deal with on a regular basis, that I hear in the public, in the media, on social media, through some of my conversations with clients, all over. I hear these top 10 misconceptions that I'd really like to bring to the table today and set the record straight for a lot of you who might still believe in these misconceptions or have certain opinions on misconceptions that ultimately are not factual. So let's go ahead and dive in. We're going to dive into these. We've got 10 of them lined up. My goal is to get through all of them, but not bore you. But I wanted to do 5, but I feel like 10 are important, so I didn't want to cancel any out. So let's just go ahead and start from the top. Misconception number 1, you need to cut carbs to lose weight. That almost has nothing to do with your weight loss. Well, I say nothing. It does have something to do with it. If you eat too many carbs, sure, you're probably going to prevent yourself from losing weight because you're going to prevent yourself from being in a calorie deficit. Why? Because carbs have calories, but guess what else has calories? Fats and proteins. So you don't need to eliminate an entire macronutrient. You don't need to eliminate all carbs or a ton of carbs. You don't need to eliminate protein. You don't need to do a low-fat diet with eliminating or fats. You just need to be in a calorie deficit. You've probably heard that before. You don't believe it. You've probably, quote unquote, been on a diet and haven't seen results. So you think that you need to either cut carbs or go low fat. You just need less calories. Or you need to expend more or burn more through your activity and output. But that's the first thing I wanted to talk about was carbohydrates. So you can lose weight on 200 carbs a day. You can lose weight on 300 carbs a day. You can lose weight on 400 grams of carbs a day if you're in a calorie deficit. Doesn't matter. It does not matter how many carbs you're consuming as long as you are in that deficit calorically from carbs, proteins, and fats. Misconception number 2. We're going to breeze through these so that I can get through all of them. This one's a fun one. Lifting weights will make you bulky. Well, that's not true at all. What makes you bulky is a calorie surplus. So on the contrary of misconception number 1, a surplus of calories will make you bulky. It takes years to gain muscle. Even the most experienced lifters and bodybuilders in the world, they're not just blowing up overnight. They've been at it religiously, daily for years and years and years, and some of them even decades, to get somewhat bulky. So if you're a female, if you're a woman, if you're hearing this and you think that weights will make you bulky, sure. If you do it for 20 years without stopping, taking copious amounts of steroids, anabolic steroids, and in a calorie surplus for a lot of those years, that would make you bulky. But just strength training a couple times a week may actually make you look less bulky because of what it does to metabolism and longevity in weight loss journeys. So lifting weights actually makes you less bulky. You will fit thinner in your clothes. They will start to get baggier the more you lift weights. Eventually, you may start to feel them getting tighter at a certain level of muscle mass accrual, but it certainly won't be in the first 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 5 years. It does not make you bulky. Misconception number 3, you have to eat clean to see results. What does clean even mean? What? I have had so many people tell me they eat clean and they can't lose weight. Why? Because it is all about the calories again. You can eat all the healthy food you want in the world. You can be super nutrient dense. You can have a great blood panel showing us that you're very healthy and that the food that you eat is healthy. But is that what it takes to get the weight loss results that you want? If that's the goal, absolutely not. Because you could eat 50% quote unquote clean and 50% unclean, quote unquote, and still be in a deficit and still lose weight and get results. Or you can eat 100% clean and 0% not clean, quote unquote, and still gain weight. So what does that tell us? That calories are king, whether you're gaining weight or losing weight. Deficit versus surplus. It's not all about eating clean. Clean is just a marketing term for more nutrient-dense foods, less processed foods and stuff like that. But that's not the determining factor of weight loss. It's calories. Oh, one of my faves of all time. I'm so sore. I must have had a good workout. Misconception number 4. And these are not in any particular order, by the way, but all 10 are equally important. If you aren't sore, your workout wasn't effective. If you are sore, you had an amazing workout and you did really well. Well, not the case. Soreness is not an indicator or a predictor of any progress, really. It just tells us that you did something your body probably hasn't done before. So I don't know if you've ever noticed, if you change up your training program and you go from, okay, I'm doing the same thing for 6 months, and you go to a new exercise, just because you went to that new exercise super sore due to the novelty stimulus, your body isn't acclimated or adapted to that movement pattern, to that load through that range of motion and that resistance curve. It's not going to understand right away. So it's going to take some time to adapt. So you'll be really sore on a new exercise, even though you train 7 days a week because of that. And the same thing goes so if you're always trying to confuse your body or shock the body or do different exercises and different rep ranges every single session just to get sore, you're leaving gains on the table, you're leaving progress on the table, and you're wasting a lot of energy in the gym that could be more productive elsewhere, either outside of the gym or in the gym. Soreness is not an indicator of success or progress or a quote unquote like a quality workout. It does tell you that you trained that muscle group, period. But it is not the indicator. Same with sweat. This is actually not, I wasn't even going to talk about that. So, but much like where soreness is not an indicator of progress in the gym or a successful workout in the gym, sweat is not an indicator that your cardio session was effective. It just means your body was hot during cardio, which is not a direct indicator of fat loss. You warmed up your body, you got sweaty. Okay, you could go sit in a sauna every single day for a year and still gain weight, not lose a single pound, because it's calorie intake that has to do with that. So what are we looking for when it comes to training then on this particular misconception here? Beating your logbook, beating what you hit last week in some way, shape, or form, whether it be better form for the same amount of reps, more reps on this with the same weight, more weight, of course. Sure. Simply exerting more force and tension into the muscle in a more controlled manner than the last session. So you're getting more stimulus or tension into that muscle better than the last session, whether it be via improved neurological connection or mind to muscle connection, load use, increased rep. That's what we're going to be looking for to measure progress, not soreness levels. Soreness levels are important to take into consideration when starting a session or throughout your recovery period. And when you're hitting that session again, it's not main indicator of a quality or productive workout or session. Misconception number 5. Supplements are the secret weapon. Oh, the amount of people that I know, that I see, they talk about this supplement or that supplement, or that, hey, you're a dietitian, what do you think of this supplement or that supplement? And my first question every single time for all these supplement gurus and fanatics, show me what your nutrition looks like. I don't care what supplement you're taking. If your nutrition's not on point, the supplement means nothing to me. And all it really does is goes to show that you care about the less important things in the whole journey. If you're worried more about your supplement stack than what you're eating or your step count or your training quality, your cardio output, if you're skipping your cardio sessions, half-assing your step goal every day, then it doesn't matter what magical supplement you take. So I really strongly advise that you ask yourself that your own question there when it comes to I'm taking this supplement, I'm taking that supplement, nothing's working. Why are we not addressing steps A, B, and C before we even look at D, E, and F? So those are the first 5. Let's go ahead and jump into 6 here. Misconception number 6, more cardio equals faster weight loss or fat loss. Here's the situation here with that. If you're eating too much and you're just trying to do cardio, your body can only recover from so much. Your hormones can only recover from so much. And you can only physically and mentally tolerate so much output and activity before you just get exhausted, poor recovery, hair falling out, amenorrhea, losing the menstrual cycle. You can only out activity yourself so much before you crash and burn and realize it's the food that you need to worry about, not more cardio, more cardio, more cardio, more cardio. Plus, if you're focused on more cardio, more cardio, more cardio, then you're probably not getting the most out of your training as well. And that is where the longevity with your weight loss is going to actually come from, not more cardio. Think of more cardio as a little bit of a tool along the journey, just as the body scale is a tool, the food scale is a tool. Everything's a tool. So more cardio, you can abuse it until you can't even do any training. You can't even train because you're so tired or poor recovery, or you just don't feel motivated anymore because you're just gassed out from all that cardio. Well, muscle burns more calories at rest than anything else. And so we want to build that muscle over time. That's the importance of strength training. So more cardio does not equal more fat loss. More strength training, controlled cardio, increased when needed in a calorie deficit, that equals faster fat loss. Misconception number 7, if I do crunches, or if I do these, tummy squeezes, or if I do, pelvic floor pulses, and, I do sit-ups, then I'm going to target my core. Or if I do Supermans, lying Supermans on my stomach, where I reach up into the air and use my back, then I'll target that lower back fat. That's a huge misconception. It is proven we cannot choose where our body loses fat. We just can't. It is a systemic thing. It is not a localized thing. So if you want to lose weight, if that is the goal, then you need to be in a calorie deficit long enough to see fat reduction in that area. So if you're really worried about your tummy, calorie deficit. If you're worried about your thighs, calorie deficit. If you're worried about behind your arms, calorie deficit. It's a calorie deficit no matter where the body part is. You just have to be in the calorie deficit long enough to see that area change composition. Now, you can build muscle in those areas, sure. That way, when you do lose the fat tissue, it's more prominent, more shaped, more aesthetic, has a more a stronger visual appearance and more of like a pop, right? But you can't just tell your tricep to lose fat, train your tricep and think that that's what's going to burn the fat. It comes down to that energy balance that we talked about. 3 more to go. Some good ones are left. If the scale isn't moving, you're not making progress. Yep. Well, progress can be shown, right, in measurements. So clothing, how socks are fitting around the feet, how jewelry is fitting around the wrist, how rings are fitting around the fingers, how belts are fitting around the waist, how how shirts are, going around the chest and shoulders, etc. So that is a really good indicator. Also, photos, visual, measurable progress, for sure. Can obviously tell when the body's recomping. So you might be 140 pounds in January, you might still be 140 pounds in May, but look in like an entirely different person because your body composition has shifted. You might weigh the same, but of different components. You might have better bone mass density, or bone density. You might have better lean body mass, and you might have lower body fat. You might be better hydrated. So all of those, calculate, same 140, completely visually different. So that's a huge one. If the scale's not progressing, you have to look at these other, or if the scale's not declining, or if the goal's increasing and it's not increasing, then we have to look at, photos, measurements, also strength, how we're feeling too. Those are other areas of quote unquote progress that can be measured without the scale. The scale is just a tool to guide you in that process. It's just one of the tools in the toolbox. And you can also, you also want to look at weekly averages when it comes to body weights. I said this in a previous podcast and a couple other forms of my content, because it's so important to measure weights on a weekly average, not looking at day to day. So if you look at the weekly average, then you can be like, okay, is the scale not moving on that weekly average for 3 straight weeks? Okay, then look at photos and look at measurements and look at strength gains and digestion and sleep and happiness and quality of life, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then make your judgment based on that, not just because it's not moved in 3 days that you need to go, plummeting calories down and increasing cardio super high. Misconception number 9, 2 more to go here. Hope you've learned something this far in. At 8 of them in, I'm sure there's one of them that may surprise you at this point. So misconception number 9, you have to be motivated all the time. That's a really good one. I wish that was the case. I wish that, it's just when I felt good about it, that's when I have to go do things, because I probably wouldn't do nearly as much. But, I think some of the greatest in the world are likely, they're not waking up extremely motivated on, in the off season or in the boring days or in the very beginning when things are not clicking. Like maybe the team is 0-6, and they're not feeling super motivated. It doesn't matter. They still show up with discipline, with work ethic, and a commitment to themselves. And that alone can be its own motivator and motivating driver. Success does not come from just being motivated all the time. If you're not feeling motivated, or if you're feeling unmotivated, ask yourself, what would the person 5 to 10 years from now want from me? What do I want for myself in the future? What would I look back and say? Probably to go get that done, probably to stop procrastinating, probably to show up, because we know that those are the most important days, are the days that we overcome that decision. We say, we're not going to lay in bed. We're going to go hit that session, or we're going to go, to film with the team. We're not going to skip it this week. That type of thing. You do not have to be motivated all the time. If you rely on motivation for all of your work and your progress, you won't get very far. That's a guarantee. Last but not least, another one of my favorites. Eating late at night makes you gain weight. Eating late at night makes you gain weight. What did I say 450 million times earlier in this podcast? Calories. Calories are everything, right? Calories in versus calories out. If you eat all of your calories right before bed from the day, so say you need 3,000 calories and you eat them all before bed, I don't recommend that, because that might really make your digestion angry and you might feel terrible and you might not be able to even finish all 3,000 calories. It would be pretty silly to do that, and you'd be tired and hungry throughout the day and performance would suffer throughout the day. But in theory, if you did that every day and that's what you burned, then you wouldn't lose or gain any weight. You would not gain fat just because it's before bed or just because it's after 8 p.m. It's the total calories on the day, burnt versus consumed. So eating late at night isn't bad unless it pushes you over your calorie limit for the day. Then you'll gain weight, but not directly because it was at 9:31 p.m. past 8 p.m. That's not why. So a 9 p.m. snack is not ruining your goals. Getting up out of bed to consume like a snack is not ruining your goals if it is in a controlled amount and already calculated into your day's macros and calories. If it is, doesn't matter. When you eat it, what time it is, 6 a.m., 4 p.m., 10:58 p.m., it doesn't matter, because the calories rule all. So that's today's episode on 10 most common health, fitness, and nutrition misconceptions that I see as a registered dietitian and fitness coach on the daily. I see it in the media. I see it on social media platforms. I hear it from friends and family members and conversations in the public. I hear it all over. I hear it with one-on-one conversations with clients, with consult calls, new intake forms. I hear it all. So I really hope that this reaches the right person, and that you have been able to take something away from this. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you again next week, as always.